Hey everyone, welcome back to Rob's Gaming Table. Today on the table we're doing an unboxing of not Game of Thrones, the board game 2nd edition, but I just want to show you guys it's for the expansion, new expansion that just came out, Mother of Dragons. I just want to say this game is the board game that got me into modern board gaming 4 or 5 years ago or so. It was this game that pulled me into this hobby and got me into all the card games and board games you see on the channel at Rob's Gaming Table. But the expansion's for this guy, so let's just throw this guy aside and we'll get to the Mother of Dragons. We're going to do an unboxing here, a little overview of the components, and see what's inside. Alright, so here it is, covered in this awesome plastic that creates glare all over the place, so we're going to get that off. But it's a board game for the 2nd edition. It needs the base game, of course. Well, I guess usually expansions do, but not always. So this does need the base Game of Thrones board game, which you just saw. But it can work with the other 2 expansions. There's 2 print-on-demand expansions that are like little card decks, and it does work with those also, which is pretty cool that they didn't just forget about those. Actually, let's take a look at the back of the box here. It is, let's see here, 3 to 8 players, age 14 and up, so I can probably show you right there. And it says 2 to 4 hours. I don't believe that, but I never believe the times on games. They're never fully truthful. Game of Thrones board game, roughly an hour per player is usually what I find it takes, except if you're with a group that they all have played the game multiple times and recently. But I find every time we play, we pull it out, and there's always at least one player at the table who hasn't played it in a while, or a player that is brand new. And it just always kind of drags the game just a little bit, but yeah, you're looking for like a 5 to 6 player game. You're looking at like, 4.5 to 6 hours, I would say. I may be wrong on that, but that's just with us. So it does require the game to play. Game includes 2 new playable houses, support for up to 8 players, 45 plastic units, 3 plastic dragon units. Here, I can probably get this close to you guys here. And it comes with 1 large Essos sideboard, 12 Iron Bank loan cards, 24 Sea Order tokens, 10 new Westeros cards, 1 Vassal House card deck, 7 Vassal setup cards, and 15 area improvement tokens. And here's the FFG sleeves that you could use with it. So it was designed by Jason Walden, and obviously it has some awesome art with it, because Fantasy Light Games has a nice library of awesome Game of Thrones art, since they produce like a very awesome card game, and if you don't play that, you should. I do have lots of videos on this channel of that card game, actually. So it comes with a nice little catalog here, the usual catalog you get that, they refresh every season or whatever. It tells you all about Keyforge, another game you'll see lots of on this channel. If you haven't played Keyforge, you should try it. It's great. Okay, and we get a manual in here, a little smaller manual, not too many pages. I read through the PDF online quickly just to get an overview of the game. But nice glossy, as you can see the shine, nice glossy, colorful pages, beautiful manual. Giving you a list of your components here. The new setup, there's actually a whole new set of setup. If you're playing with this expansion, you got to use all the parts from it pretty much, unless you don't pick Targaryen. It goes through a whole new, huge setup here. It goes multiple pages. It's all just set up, bringing you to this point on the next page. And then this explains vassals, which are a way they've determined that works better balancing the game. So if you ever played the original Game of Thrones board game, you play with 3, 4 players, 5 players, whatever, and you leave like a faction that's not in play. It leaves their home area like kind of available for the taking, and you find it throws off the balance a bit, just because factions that are near them on the map can easily take over those areas and kind of bump their score up quickly with little resistance because there's no human driving it. Well, the solution here is these vassals, which it comes with its own set of cards and tokens and whatnot that players on the Iron Throne track can basically take control of those factions and use them. But they change control every round depending on how the track is laid out and what factions people grab. So it's kind of a cool way that, they help. Humans are making decisions for these neutral factions that are on the board, and keeps it balanced out without somebody just kind of coming in and stomping them and taking their areas. And there's House Targaryen overview. Earlier it mentioned the Essos sideboard, which we'll look at, which is a board that adds Essos on the side, obviously, where the Targaryens are going to start, and it adds this Iron Bank of Bravos. Here, I don't know if you guys see that better if I bring it up, but the Iron Bank of Bravos, it's like its own little board, its own little section on the Essos board. which you can basically spend your power tokens to buy abilities that you'll be paying more interest on throughout the game. But you got to decide when that benefit's worth it to be taken. Kind of a new thing that changes the game up. They got C order tokens, so every faction is going to get a few more tokens, which we'll look at in a sec when we get through the tokens. But it enables you to do some more orders in the Cs, because obviously adding the Essos board, you're going to get more Cs added to the game board, makes the game board bigger. So I guess this is a way to kind of, the more spread out, more tokens you have on the board, you can actually give orders to things. I guess they probably found out they're running out of order tokens playing with 8 players and having a bigger board. They got the Iron Bank order token. That's the one that's going to help you buy from the Iron Bank. You can only do that on the C. And then improvement and degradation tokens. So they have tokens that will actually add the crowns. And see if I can get that up here. It'll add the crowns and the barrels and the castles to upgrade lands. And it actually is like it's like it's printed on the map. But then also on the back of them, they're just like kind of blank, and it'll erase those. So you could have places that lose barrels or gain crowns and lose crowns and gain strongholds and stuff. And then on the sorry, I missed that ad there. I don't know. There's this card game here. Game of Thrones is a card game right there, telling you, yeah, you should get into that. But yeah, nice ad in the back. And then here we have the quick reference of the loan effects. So each of those loan cards that you can get from the Bank of Bravos, and then how the influence track is set up differently with an 8. I guess with this expansion, you set it up this way, and then based on how many players are playing, you slide them all over, and then vassals will kind of fall in the end and go in there. So that's the manual. Then we got 2 player boards, and like I said, this goes up to 8 players now. So we only had 6 factions in the base game, so obviously we need some more factions. So we're going to get some player screens for Targaryen, and that shows their setup and stuff here. And some cool art. There's Khal Drogo on his horse, and yeah, that's the player screen for Targaryen. Then we got House Aeron of the Vale, and there's their setup. And we're going to see there's a little special board that goes on to help give them their homeland and whatnot, but that's their player screen there. All right, the tokens. Ooh, covered in plastic. Always like that. Prevents pop-outs from flying around and getting nicked, and tokens getting bent and warped when they fall out during shipping or anything. And I'll try to get the plastic off. Okay, I got a rip here. All right. And get the plastic off. See some glare, some lights flying on the screen. I'm sorry. All right. Some plastic out of the way here. So, token sheet number 1. We got our order tokens all here. So Targaryen's going to get a whole bunch. Aeron's going to get a whole bunch. Then I remember it said there's some extra ones for each other faction is going to get some C tokens. And then these are, I believe, just Targaryen power tokens, but they might be loyalty. No, they're loyalty tokens. Loyalty tokens here, I think, are the ones with the little brick around it that have Targ logo on it. So that's how they're going to... Targaryen plays a little differently. They get their power by... They don't get it by capturing castles. They get it by capturing loyalty. So there'll be these little tokens that appear on the board depending on a 4th Westeros card deck, which I'll show you when we get to the cards. That's going to tell you where these tokens get put. And then that Targaryen is going to go chasing those down to try to win by collecting those. Which is kind of cool. So there's the backs. You see a bunch of orders. Obviously, you've seen this before. But here's the C ones. They have the little blue/gray background. Those are telling you they can only be used in the sea. You can put them down on land to kind of do the bluffing, but as soon as you flip them over, if they're on land, you have to take them away. And you can, I believe, use them in ports. So that's that. Actually, I can probably get the manual nearby so I can just make sure I'm getting the tokens right. Yeah, Targaryen loyalty tokens right there. Yeah, those are Targ loyalty tokens. Not to be confused with power tokens, which have the crown above them. But yeah, so here we have the order tokens for the vassals. So these are the neutral order tokens. So when you have up to 4 vassals in play, so there's like the circle, the diamond, the star, and whatever. Those don't mean anything. It's just to keep them together in sets. So when you're actually controlling a vassal faction, you're going to get a set of 4 of these, and you're going to decide what you're going to put down. And we can actually look at the back of those. So there's some different ones here now. These are not the usual. So you get this defense +3, you get a march +0, but then you get this one that's like a raid or a support +1. And if you use it to raid, it comes off the board and you don't get the support later. So you have to choose. And then this defense +1, and then later, I think this, what is this? I think that's the degradation token. I could be wrong. I forget what the second part of that token is with the little stronghold in there. But yeah, so those are just power tokens for Targ and House Aeron. Then you have these little crowns. These are your degradation. So you see on the back there, well, I guess the back of the token, front of the token sheet, they're like, you know, just swamp green here. And that's how you like blank out stuff on the board. But then on the back, you can also add strongholds, power, consolidation of power icons there, whatever. Here we have some garrison tokens, House Addons, what do you call those? They're influence markers or whatever they are. Yeah, influence tokens. Influence tokens. And here you got their supply barrels. There's their little score keeping tokens. Now these are interesting. Those are the dragon tokens. So these are put on the round track, and as you hit certain rounds, the Targaryen player is going to take these off. So let's say round 2, I think is the first one. You'll get one of these, and it'll increase the dragon strength. So we'll look at them in a minute, but you'll have some dragon minis, and those will go up in strength throughout the course of the game, and they'll get stronger and stronger. But at the beginning, they're very weak and can be killed, and they don't come back unless there's some card or something in the game that does it for you. But in general, they shouldn't be able to come back. And up here we have this Bravos. I think it's the Bravos. Yeah, the Bravos garrison token or neutral garrison token, whatever you call it. If you actually take over Bravos, you get in front of you this, which is going to reduce the cost of buying one of those ability cards from the Bank of Bravos, which is cool. And as people take control of Bravos, they get this little discount. So this may move around to different players if Bravos gets taken by different people. Here's an overlay for the Bite. So this is a board overlay to kind of change that sea map there. And here's your Vale of Arryn and the Eyrie, however you want to say it. That's going to change the map up there and add, I guess, that port there. But yeah, that's it. Oh, and here's the end of the influence track extension. Since you have up to 8 players, Targ is always going to be the last one, but now you have a 7th spot to add to the end of the board. I do not have it yet, but there is a mat, a neoprene, I believe it is, just like a play mat, you know, but a big Game of Thrones board game 8-player mat that will, you don't need all those extensions and overlays. If you get the mat, it's all set up for you. But speaking of add-ons, this is the Essos board. And we'll get the plastic off here. And there we go. All right, so this is the Essos sideboard. So this goes on. I can't even fit it all on the screen there. But you got your Bank of Bravos that we saw in the manual there. And we got Bravos there on the map. And then we go down here. So below Bravos, we got Pentos. So this is the Targ starting area. It has their little power token imprinted on there. It also has a loyalty token. So they start with 1 loyalty automatically on the score track. But if they lose their homeland, they go down on the score track. But they have to take over their homeland to get it back. But they can also take over other places or get their loyalty tokens other ways if they do lose that to still win the game. They just need 7, I believe it is, to win. We got Bay of Pentos, Myr, the Rhoyne, Sea of Mirth, Disputed Lands, and this is Volantis. And down here we have the Orange Shore. Now here's the Dragon Strength. So this is where you put those little tokens as you gain them to show everyone on the board how strong your dragons are getting. Okay. And so that's part of that gets covered in that big mat that they're going to be selling. I don't know if that came out this week, but that's something that's I have on order. I hope to get it so that I don't have to play with all these sideboards and stuff. But if you're not using House Targaryen, you don't play with those sideboards. And no Bravos, no Essos, none of that stuff if you don't play with House Targaryen. Okay, so here is the cards. Coming in little plastic baggies like usual. And this crappy insert, FFG, stop it with these things. These are useless. You just throw them away. When you open the box. That's usually how it works. It's just too bad there wasn't something better in here to hold the stuff. But then I guess you could mix it with the core set box if you threw the insert from that. So here we go. We got the house cards for... Actually, let me see if I can zoom in a bit more. Okay, so we got the house cards for House Arryn. And we got Robert Arryn here. If you are defending after combat, you may remove Robert Arryn and the lowest strength house card in your opponent's discard pile from the game. Cool. Actually, let's just get this out and throw this to the side. All right, so that's Robert Arryn. And we got Anya Waynwood. Sorry. If you win this combat, you and all other players who supported you each gain 3 power tokens. Okay. We got Godric Borel. If you are defending in a sea area, this card gains +1 combat strength for each land area you control adjacent to the embattled area. Neat. Serveritus Egan. I'm the worst with names, by the way. If the printed combat strength of your opponent's house card is 2 or less, this card gains +1 combat strength and 2 fortification icons. Here, let's get in a little closer. Wrong way again. And the camera's going to shake for a minute. All right, we got Harry Harding, just has the sword token on it. This guy's got the defense fortification, the sword on Mr. Bronzion Royce. Eliza Aaron, of course, is a 4 strengther here. If you have a defense order token in the battled area and you win this combat, you may choose and return this card to your hand instead of discarding it. Now, here's Targaryen's house cards. Oh yeah, so another interesting thing. So Targaryen has so many because when you're playing in the other expansion, you're actually going to use, so if you're playing with the 4-player expansion that comes with House Aaron already, it comes with some house cards, you would use those or use these. I forget which one it is, but you can use the sets, mix it in, and then this one has extra cards for using, I forget if it's, there's a Khal Drogo. So I have little symbols down here. I just forget which way it goes. Yeah, look, you have B, the 4 strength Dany, who's B. After combat, your opponent must discard a number of their available power tokens equal to the difference of the final combat strength. But then you also have Khal Drogo, who's A. This card gains 1 sword icon and +1 strength for each of your knights in the embattled area. After combat, remove Khal Drogo from the game. So that's cool. After using some of these guys, oh, and here's another Dany A. Strength 1. If the embattlement area contains a dragon, this card gains +2 combat strength. And we got Illyrio there. He's the 0 A. Yeah, so look, there's an A deck and then a B deck. Yeah, I went through too quick to notice that, but yeah, there's an A Targaryen deck and a B Targaryen deck, depending if you're playing with the other expansions, the little print-on-demand ones. And if you don't have those, I think they're very good. One of the expansions helps kind of speed the game up by putting everyone with all their guys on the board. You're basically ready to fight with everybody, and you're a little later in the books. You have to have, I think, 6 players when you play that one, but there's less rounds in the game. It kind of shortens out the game, but still feels epic. And then the 4-player expansions keeps the game to like 190 minutes, 190 minutes, or an hour and 90 minutes, or 90 minutes. Sorry, 90 minutes is what I'm trying to say. An hour and a half is what it gets to when you get going with it, and it can be used for like tournament play, so you can like, you know, try to score. It has like a different scoring method to it. So we got Missandei here. If you lose this combat by 2 combat strength or less, you may return any other house card in your discard pile to your hand. So this is deck B here. Recaro. If the embattlement area is a land area, does not contain a stronghold or castle, each of your knights in the embattled area adds +4 combat strength instead of 2. I don't think I'm going to go through all of these, but you can probably pause the video and see them. It might take a while. I'm not even through half the deck here, but you guys can see that. And I'll leave it for you guys to explore when you open it, but let's go through them there. So the Dany we went over, Viserys Targaryen. We got Zaro Daxos, however you say that guy. Ser Jorah. And Arstan Whitebeard. And the Khal Drogo. That's deck A. And now here's the Vassals deck. So they got Varys in there. After combat, move this vassal to the top of the fiefdom's influence track, shifting the other houses down. Dirty Varys. Jack and Agar. You got Syrio. Janos Slynt. John Connington. Beric Dondarrion. And Bronn. And that's the vassal house cards. So that works. You shuffle them up, I believe, every time a vassal is about to be used in combat. You draw 3 of them, you pick one to use. And then when you're done that battle, you shuffle them all back up, put them on the table for the next person to use with their vassal. So it's like one shared deck, but you'll shuffle it and you'll get different ones each time. So it's not that predictable. Here's your vassal setup. So depending on which factions are vassals, you're going to have a different setup, and you ignore the ones on the back of their player screen. So you get those in there. And then here's the Westeros 4 deck, which is played when you use the Essos and the Targaryens. And it lets you know where you're going to put loyalty tokens. So if you'll see on them, they have locations and a little map. So that's going to tell you, when you flip this card, you're going to put a Targaryen loyalty token in Storm's End, and then the target's going to go try to get it there. And then it gives you little text that you have to follow here, which mainly I think affects the Targaryen player, but might be others. Yeah, I guess it affects everyone, but then some Targaryen stuff here. But I'll let you guys explore that stuff later, or if you pause it, you may be able to read the card. Alright, so that's the Westeros 4 deck, which is added only if you're playing with the Targaryens. And the Targaryens can never be a vassal, so someone has to pick them, and if they don't, you don't play with that stuff when you're playing with less than 8 players. Alright, and then one little baggie here. And this is just the Bravos little upgrades. They're in these little tiny cards. And so you got Sea Raiders. So when you buy this, you basically get these units, and you get to put them on the board, but you have to follow supply rules still. So that's what these ones do. You get 3 knights there. And this one gets you an extra barrel, and then you automatically get to move your barrels up there for supply. I think these let you put those improvement tokens or whatever they're called. Yeah, area improvement or degradation tokens. This allows you to add some barrels to the board wherever you want. This just straight up gives you 10 power tokens, 8 power tokens, plus one of those crowns to add to the board. This lets you upgrade some castles to strongholds using those improvement tokens. This lets you cover up a castle, plus you get to add a crown or a barrel to the map. This one lets you destroy some units off the board, two different spots, so 2 different provinces or whatever, sections of the map. You get to destroy 1 from each. And then Spy Master lets you look at the top 2 cards of, I don't know if it's just deck 4 or any Westeros deck, I can't remember, but you get to look at them and you decide whether you want to put both on the bottom, 1 on the bottom, 1 on the top, or both on the bottom and you choose the, or both on the top, sorry, and you choose the order. Hey, this is Rob. After the video was filmed, I realized when I was trying to clean up the unboxing, I totally threw aside the box and forgot to look underneath here. After saying I should throw away this insert, which I should have just did during the video, we found the pieces for Targaryen. The coolest part too, didn't even forgot all about it. But yeah, there's the dragons, little dragon meeple minis, however you want to call them. Meeples, dragon meeples, and just the regular ships and knights and whatever. They're all here. It's a cool purple though, super cool purple. Yeah, that's awesome. And there's a better shot of that dragon mini. Let's get him up there. Come on, you can do it. Autofocus. There it is. That looks cool. It's the whole reason to buy the expansion, right? The whole reason to buy the expansion is just for the dragon minis, right? Or the dragon meeples. And then we got House Aron, a nice, beautiful blue. And this is cool too if you own the expansion with the House Aron, the 4-player expansion. You totally now have blue pieces and you don't have to paint them or, you know, buy another set. I saw people at the time that expansion came out, people wanted blue meeples for House Aron. They actually went out and bought a second copy of Game of Thrones, a board game, and painted them. But yeah, that's the pieces there, you know, standard stuff. But yeah, totally missed that. All right, back to past Rob. But that's the expansion. So that's an overview. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Hit that like button if you want to see more unboxings and you like what you see here. Constructive criticism is always welcome. And yeah, we're definitely gonna be playing this live on the channel at some point in the future and maybe recording some matches of it at different player counts. So make sure you follow Rob's Gaming Table at twitch.tv/Rob's Gaming Table, and also subscribe to us here on YouTube. Hit that little notification bell button to be notified when we go live and when we post more videos. But we will have tons more coverage from this coming up. We played lots of Game of Thrones, a board game, when the channel first started out, and we have already 6-player live streams on there. 5, 4, 3, 2, maybe not 2 players. 3 players and up. We have different videos, different player counts of Game of Thrones, a board game being played. We played with all the expansions, except for this one, and I have different videos of those, so you guys can check those out in the Game of Thrones board game playlist at Rob's Gaming Table. If you'd like to donate, you can click the link for Patreon in the description below. But thanks a lot for being here, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.